Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to get you up to speed on a crucial part of your quantitative reasoning section. You know, the one that can really make or break your timing on exam day. Welcome to EduRev. I'm here to break down one of the trickiest topics for your exams, ratios and proportions. My whole goal today is to make you faster, more confident, and ready to absolutely crush these questions. So let's be real for a second. Is this you? You totally get how to do ratios, but when that UCAT clock is ticking, they just seem to eat up all your time. Well, you are definitely not alone. But don't you worry, because I'm going to show you some super clear, super fast methods to solve these things and get you way ahead of that clock. So here's our game plan. We're going to start with the absolute basics, then we'll build up your toolkit for simplifying them, see how they work in actual problems, and then, the best part, we'll finish up with the speed hacks that are going to make all the difference. All right, first up. Let's build a rock-solid foundation. I promise you, really understanding what a ratio is at its core is the key to both speed and accuracy. It all starts right here. So, what is a ratio, really? When you boil it all down, it's just a comparison. That's it. It's just a simple way of showing how two or more things relate to each other. Don't let all the different ways they write it confuse you. The main idea is always just a comparison. Now, in your exam, you're going to see these pop up in a few different outfits, sometimes with a colon, sometimes as a fraction, and sometimes just written out in words. Just remember, they all mean the exact same thing. 4:3 is 4:3 is 4/3. Same deal. Okay, so for a simple two-part ratio like 4:3, just think of it this way. The number on the left of the colon, that's your numerator, the top of the fraction. And the number on the right, that's your denominator, the bottom. Simple as that. You might see three-part ratios, but this two-part structure is the real bedrock of it all. Okay, let's move on and build out your core toolkit. These are the skills you're going to use over and over again to take these big, scary-looking problems and make them much easier to handle. So, how do I simplify a ratio? Easy. First, I just picture it as a fraction. Then, I look for the biggest number that can divide into both parts. You know, the greatest common factor. Once I find it, I just divide both sides by that number, and bam, you've got your simplest form. Trust me, working with smaller numbers is always faster, and you're way less likely to make a silly mistake. And please, I'm begging you, use the calculator they give you. It's there for a reason, and it's a massive tool for speed. If you need to quickly compare a couple of ratios, just turn it into a division problem. 7 to 3 just becomes 7 divided by 3 on your calculator. You get a decimal, and you can instantly see what you're working with. Okay. Here's a little trick I always teach. Before you even think about touching your calculator, just look at the ratio. If that first number, the numerator, is bigger than the second one, you know for a fact that the value is going to be greater than 1. This is an awesome way to instantly knock out a few wrong answer choices. All right, foundation is built, toolkit is ready. Now it's time to put these skills to work and see how proportions actually work in the real world, or at least in exam-style questions. So the word proportion can be a little sneaky because it actually has two different meanings you need to know. First, it can mean a part of a whole, kind of like a fraction or a percentage. But it can also be used to describe two ratios that are equal to each other. Figuring out which one the question is talking about is half the battle. And this right here, this is one of the biggest traps people fall into, mixing up part to part and part to whole. A part-to-part ratio compares two separate things, like, say, dogs to cats. But a part-to-whole ratio compares one of those things to the total, like dogs to all the pets. The key is to look for the wording. Ratio of x to y is your clue for part-to-part. Proportion of x of the total is your clue for part-to-whole. So if you need to find that part-to-whole ratio, just follow my simple 3-step recipe. It works every time. First, figure out the specific part the question is asking for. Second, find the whole by adding up all the individual parts. And finally, just stick the part over the whole. That's your ratio. Done. Okay, this is what you've all been waiting for, right? The speed hacks. We've got the knowledge, now we need the speed. This is how you win when that clock is ticking down. Now, first things first, this requires a little bit of a mindset shift. The fastest students, they don't always calculate the answer down to the last decimal. Nope, they use smart estimation to quickly get rid of the answers that are obviously wrong. Getting the right answer is great, but getting it quickly is what gets you those top scores. And this is your secret weapon for estimation. Seriously, memorizing these key benchmark fractions and what they are as decimals is an absolute game changer. If you know instantly that 3/4 is 0.75, you can glance at a ratio, guess its value, and immediately start eliminating options without doing any hard math. So to wrap all these time-saving tricks into a few key principles, simplify your ratios right away. If it's faster, just do the division on your calculator. Use those benchmark fractions to estimate and eliminate. And maybe the most important one, don't overcomplicate it. Just stick to the basics we've covered. Whew, okay, we have covered a ton of ground. So let's do a super quick recap, and then I'll give you your mission for what to do next to make sure all of this actually sticks in your brain. So, if you remember nothing else from today, remember these 4 things. Number 1, a ratio is just a comparison. 2, simplify early and often to make your life easier. 3, know the difference between part to part and part to whole. And 4, use those benchmark fractions to save yourself precious, precious time. Look, you now have everything you need. You've got the tools, you've got the techniques, you know the theory and the tricks. So what's next? You got to put it into practice, right? And the absolute best way to do that is to download the EduRev app. It is packed with more UCAT content, tons of practice questions, and full mock exams where you can test out these new skills under real-timed conditions. You can find it on both the Play Store and the iOS App Store. Thanks so much for joining me, and happy studying!